Imagine a country, Taiwan, really well known for having one of the lowest crime rates globally. You know, a place where walking home alone at night genuinely feels safe.
It sets a certain expectation of tranquility.
Exactly. Now, picture just one single horrific event that completely shatters that peace. It grabs the whole nation's attention and forces everyone to look inward at some really deep vulnerabilities.
It's a stark contrast.
So today, we're going to explore the profoundly tragic and complex story of the Pai Hsiao-yen case from Taiwan. It's a chilling true story, really. Our discussion is based on a detailed account, and it paints such a powerful picture of how one brutal crime can just collide head-on with media sensationalism.
And remarkably, end up reshaping a nation in fundamental ways.
Yeah. Our mission here is to really understand the different layers of this case. We're not just recounting the crime itself, though we will do that, but also exploring the huge ripple effects it had. Things like justice, media ethics, even national safety itself. It's a compelling and honestly often heartbreaking journey.
And what's really striking, I think, is how this case exposed these deep societal vulnerabilities in a place that, well, on the surface, seems so incredibly stable. Taiwan's low crime rate actually makes the shock and brutality of this incident even more significant. It amplifies the impact.
That really puts the initial shock into perspective, doesn't it? And to really grasp the horror that unfolded, we need to introduce you to the central figure here, a woman who was and still is just deeply beloved in Taiwan, Pai Ping-ping. What was it about her? Why was she such a major figure?
Well, Pai Ping-ping was an absolute superstar. I mean, an incredibly successful singer, actress, TV host, known for her quick wit, her humor. She really connected with people.
Okay.
And what makes her story even more compelling is her background. She was born into poverty in Keelung, faced hard choices early on, left school at just 16, this is back in 1973, to pursue a career in entertainment.
So it was really her talent that got her noticed. I think she got her big break on Taiwan television.
Precisely, yeah. She won a singing contest there. And that was basically the launch pad for her entire career. Set her on the path to becoming this huge star.
Okay, and then in 1975, she moved to Fukuoka, Japan, to train, right, acting and singing.
That's right. And it was there she met and married Kazu Koisei. He was a renowned Japanese manga artist, famous for works like Tiger Mask.
Right, I've heard of that, but this is where things take a darker turn, isn't it?
Yes, unfortunately. While Koike was, celebrated for his art, his personal life reportedly had a very troubling side. His history of violence, physical abuse, and Pai Ping-ping tragically became a victim of this during their relationship.
That's awful, a stark contrast to her public image.
Absolutely.
Their daughter, Pai Hsiao-yen, was born in 1980, but the marriage, it sounds like it fell apart quickly because of his infidelity and the violence.
Correct. And Pai Ping-ping showed immense strength, really. She chose to leave him, return to Taiwan as a single mother, raising Hsiao-yen completely on her own. Kui, sadly, he passed away in 1987, only 50, from pancreatitis.
Wow. So back in Taiwan, Pai Ping-ping's career just took off. One of the most successful entertainers of her time, known for being clever, humorous. And her daughter, Hsiao-yen, she grew up in the public eye then.
Yes, often appearing with her mother. She was described as just a kind, optimistic, empathetic teenager, had dreams of becoming a journalist.
But even then there was this sort of foreboding element, a warning.
Absolutely, and this is where it really hits hard in hindsight. Pai Ping-ping, maybe with a mother's intuition or having seen the darker side of things herself, specifically warned her daughter. Told her not to be too trusting, too kind to strangers. It's a warning that, given what happened next, just carries this unbearable weight.
Which brings us to the abduction itself. Monday, April 14th, 1997. A day that would just shatter their lives and honestly shake Taiwan to its core. 16-year-old Pai Hsiao-yen left for school. A normal day, a routine journey in a country where this kind of thing just didn't happen.
Almost unheard of.
But her routine was just brutally interrupted. A white van pulls up. 3 men forcibly drag her inside, abducted her right there. Her mother, Pai Ping-ping, comes home around 4 p.m. Empty house. Her daughter's gone.
Just unimaginable.
Then the chilling call comes. The kidnappers. They demand an unbelievable $5 million USD. And crucially, they explicitly warned her, do not call the police.
An impossible demand.
They told her to check a bush outside her home.
And what she found there?
She finds Hsiao-yen's lunchbox. Inside, a handwritten note from her daughter, pleading for help, confirming the ransom, repeating that warning. No police. There were also 3 photos. Hsiao-yen tied up, clearly captive. But that wasn't even the worst of it, was it?
No. What's utterly horrifying, the point where the terror just escalates beyond belief, also in that lunchbox was a tissue. containing a severed pinky finger.
Oh, God.
Pai Ping-ping knew immediately it was her daughter's. This wasn't just a threat anymore. It was brutal physical violence meant to instill absolute fear.
So despite those explicit threats, Pai Ping-ping made this incredibly difficult, courageous choice. She knew Ping might not even guarantee her daughter's safety.
Right. There was no guarantee at all.
So secretly, she informed the police, the authorities. They understood how delicate it was. They worked meticulously, discreetly, trying to keep it completely quiet.
But then disaster struck, and not in the way anyone expected.
The very next morning, Tuesday, April 15th, two major newspapers, Haipai and China Times, they just sensationally broke the story. Headlines everywhere. Abduction, ransom demand, compromised everything.
And this immediately highlighted the intense, almost cutthroat competition within Taiwan's media back then. It was just clear prioritization of ratings, of scoops over any ethical thought for the victim, for her distraught family, a race for headlines.
With devastating consequences. It was an absolute nightmare. Pai Ping-ping, the police, they frantically tried buying up all the newspapers, but it was impossible. The news just spread like wildfire across Taiwan.
Meaning it reached the kidnappers within 24 hours. Their entire discreet operation was blown.
News crews descended on Pai Ping-ping's home, camped out 24/7. It made police work incredibly difficult, turned her home into a public spectacle, really.
And the kidnappers contacted her again, now fully aware the police were involved.
And in this incredibly cruel twist, they forced Hsiao-yen, forced her to read the newspaper headlines about her own abduction over the phone.
Yay.
To her mother.
Just sadistic.
Yeah.
And remember, this was 1997. Police struggled to trace these short calls. The technology just wasn't there yet. Every missed connection, every call they couldn't trace was a missed chance, made worse by the constant media interference.
So subsequent attempts at a ransom exchange were just repeatedly sabotaged by this media presence. April 17th, Ping-ping and plainclothes police head to a meeting point. A news helicopter actually follows them.
Unbelievable. The kidnappers aborted, of course.
The next day, April 18th, kidnappers demand Ping-ping drive alone. Media vehicles just followed her relentlessly. Again, no exchange. Then 5 agonizing days of silence. Another attempt, April 23rd, at a stadium. Failed again. Media everywhere.
It just begs the question, doesn't it? How were the media constantly getting this supposedly secret information about police operations? What does that tell you about the systems back then? Or the lack of them?
It's a critical question. It really points to systemic issues, doesn't it? Communication, ethics, maybe leaks within the police, or just incredibly aggressive reporters shadowing officials, not just staking out the house.
Whatever it was, that level of access, that willingness to compromise an active investigation, it reveals a profound lack of professional standards at the time.
So despite all this chaos, this constant interference, the police kept working. They managed to trace phone numbers to 3 main suspects, Lin Chunxian, Cao Tianmin, and Chen Sing. All 3 had extensive criminal records. They'd actually met in prison.
Okay, so they had leads.
Yes. Then, April 24th, 1997, the kidnappers call Pai Ping-ping again. But this time, she doesn't hear her daughter's voice, just the agonizing cries of a woman. Then the line cuts. She was convinced it was Hsiao-yen being tortured.
Oh, that's horrific. Just imagining that.
The Taiwanese president, Lee Teng-hai, he recognized this was a national crisis. Ordered a massive search across northern Taiwan. Police, military volunteers, everyone looking.
A desperate search.
But the worst fears were confirmed on April 28th. A civilian reported finding a girl's body in a drainage ditch near an industrial area outside Taipei. Naked, bound, weighted down.
And the autopsy?
Tragically confirmed it was Pai Hsiao-yen. And the findings, almost unspeakable, weren't they?
They were truly horrific. And connecting this back, the autopsy revealed an incredibly cruel truth. Hsiao-yen had actually been dead for about 10 days.
10 days, so she was murdered shortly after the abduction.
Yes, very shortly after. Those agonizing cries Pai Ping-ping heard on the phone. A cruel deception, likely one of the kidnapper's girlfriends, just designed to torment her, maybe speed up the ransom.
That's beyond cruel.
The autopsy detailed unimaginable torture. Severe beatings, knife wounds, the severed finger confirmed, extensive bruising, a ruptured liver, signs of strangulation, and evidence of sexual assault over 20 times. Just brutal, senseless, prolonged by the kidnapper's depravity, and horrifically enabled by the media's actions.
And even after her death, the media showed this disturbing lack of remorse. One outlet actually published a graphic photo of her body showing the severed finger. Another headline just heartlessly described the murder as the kidnappers tearing up a $5 million check.
Reducing her life to money. It's appalling.
On Mother's Day, May 11th, Hsiao-yen's funeral. besieged by reporters trying to interview Pai Ping-ping. Just no respect for her grief.
That lack of ethical restraint, coupled with the outcome, had sparked this massive national outrage, unlike anything seen before. It wasn't just sadness, it was anger, a demand for accountability.
So, a nationwide manhunt was launched for the suspects. President Lee Teng-hui issued a public apology, acknowledged soaring crime rates, an 80% increase from 1990 to 1996, and this profound public distrust in the police. Some people believed 5, even 10% of officers were complicit in crime.
That's a staggering figure. It highlights a major systemic problem. That level of perceived corruption meant the public felt completely unprotected. The government's credibility was just rock bottom. This wasn't just about one crime, it was about institutional failure.
The hunt was intense. August 19th, 1997, police located 2 suspects, Lin Chunxian and Cao Tianmin. A shootout happens. Tragically, 1 officer died. Lin Chunxian was shot and died too, but Cao Tianmin escaped.
So 1 down, 2 to go.
Right. 2 months later, another horrific discovery. 3 bodies at a plastic surgery clinic. A doctor, 2 nurses, all shot once in the head. The nurses also sexually assaulted. Police quickly linked this to Chen Shin-sing and Cao Tianmin. They believe they went there for surgery to change their appearance, then killed the staff to silence them.
Just ruthless, erasing witnesses.
On November 17th, 1997, Cao Tianmin was finally found at a massage parlor. Surrounded by police, he committed suicide,
Took his own life rather than be captured.
leaving only Chen Shin-sing at large. But his reign of terror wasn't quite over. In November 1997, he took a South African military attaché, Colonel Edward McGill Alexander, and his family hostage in their home.
A final desperate act. That must have been another huge media event.
Well, absolutely. Intense negotiations, media presence again. Chen even injured one of the hostages to press his demands.
Incredible pressure.
Finally, November 19th, 1997, Chen Shin-sing surrendered. He confessed to everything. Xiao-yen's abduction, rape, murder, the clinic murders. He admitted he and the others killed Xiao-yen in a rage because the media's interference stopped them collecting the ransom.
So the media interference was directly cited as the motive for her murder.
That's what he claimed. He also revealed a total of 12 people were involved in the crimes, not just the main 3.
12 people. That's a wider conspiracy than initially thought.
Justice, well, legal justice anyway, was served eventually. January 22nd, 1998, Chen Shin-sing was sentenced to death. Abduction, rape, 4 murders, Xiao-yen, and the 3 clinic victims. Reports say he found religion, expressed remorse before his execution on October 6, 1999. That formally closed the legal chapter.
But of course, the suffering for Pai Ping-ping, for the other victims' families, that continued long after any legal closure. Pai Ping-ping described her pain as this unhealing wound. Took her 15 years, she said, to stop crying daily. Always kept her daughter's photo close.
Heartbreaking. She even tried IVF, didn't she, to have another child?
Yes, she did. But it was unsuccessful. Her resilience, though, in the face of just unimaginable loss, truly humbling.
And out of that tragedy, she established the Pai Hsiao-yen Cultural and Educational Foundation, dedicated to anti-drug advocacy, helping disadvantaged kids, the elderly.
Using her pain to try and create something positive.
But ironically, the same media that sensationalized her daughter's tragedy now largely ignored her charity work, saw it as less newsworthy.
It's a sad commentary, isn't it? What grabs headlines versus sustained positive action? But the case itself, it sparked intense public criticism of the police, the government, and especially the media for mishandling everything. The unethical practices. This wasn't just a passing outcry, it was fundamental.
Several media editors resigned, which showed some accountability, but it's important, no one was actually prosecuted for media misconduct directly related to the case itself. So what does this all mean for Taiwan? This case really became a pivotal moment, didn't it? A turning point.
Oh, absolutely. More than just a shift. It was a fundamental overhaul. The huge public outrage directly led to legislative changes. New standards for professional, ethical journalism were established. This wasn't abstract stuff. It meant stricter self-regulation, redefining the media's relationship with the public. It really changed Taiwan's media landscape from kind of a wild west of sensationalism to something with far more accountability.
And it wasn't just the media. Government officials, including the Prime Minister at the time, Lian Chan, resigned, taking direct responsibility for the public safety crisis this whole case exposed.
That level of political accountability was significant. Those resignations weren't just symbolic. They paved the way for new leaders committed to real reform. We saw major changes in police protocols, better intelligence sharing, a renewed focus on community policing, citizen oversight. The public demand for safety was just so loud, it forced lasting systemic changes.
So ultimately, this horrific event forced Taiwan to really reevaluate and significantly improve its public safety, law enforcement, media conduct from the ground up.
Yeah.
And the ripple effect. It directly contributed to Taiwan's current status as one of the safest countries in the world.
It's an extraordinary, though incredibly painful example of a nation's capacity for reform when faced with profound tragedy.
So this deep dive has really explored the horrifying Pai Hsiao-yen case. It shows not just the brutality of the crime, but also that profound, often overlooked impact of media sensationalism on real lives, on justice itself.
Yeah, the consequences were far-reaching.
We really hope this story encourages you, the listener, to think about the immense power the media holds and the critical importance of ethical reporting, of societal responsibility. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How do we balance public interest with individual privacy and safety in this world that's just so interconnected now?
It's a constant tension. And this case reminds us that even from the darkest events, there can be a path toward meaningful change, towards a safer future, if there's that collective determination to learn from tragedy.
If you found this deep dive insightful, please do us a huge favor, like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs. It really helps us bring you more stories like this, stories that matter.
Your support makes a difference.
Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration. We'll be back soon with another deep dive. Until then, take care.